Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA manufacturers race at Bathurst in the Group 4 cars. So there obviously has been a lot of Bathurst racing recently with Daily Race C, but this was on the weekend just gone, driving in Group 4 cars. I'm driving for Mclaren. I think this was the third race of the day. There was two more slots after this. In the first race of the day we actually got pole and then just did a really good first stint on the medium tyres, and something just went wrong on the soft tyres. I don't know what it was. We just no pace at all, just totally disaster. Ended up way down the order, so had a bit of a nightmare in the first race. However, we did know the pace was there. It was our first race of the day. Maybe it was just a case of just getting warmed up. This race started from P4, not in the bad position really, because we're behind Rossetti in the Porsche, not the strongest car down the straight, so we should be able to stay in the slipstream and just hang back until the pit stop phase, put the softs on, and maybe with the Porsche and the McLaren having slightly better tyre wear than the two cars at the front, the Lexus and the Jaguar, who knows what could happen at the end of this race. It could be interesting. So going through turn one, just making sure that we get a nice clean entry. We don't want to make any mistakes on lap one, just keeping it nice and smooth, working our way up the hill, and again everyone just taking it easy, getting the tyres up to temperature, etc. Obviously most people decided to go for the medium tyres on the first stint. The reason for this was because the current slipstream is that strong that it was actually possible to stay in someone's slipstream when they were on the softer tyre. So if you risk starting on the softs and don't break the slipstream straight away, you're throwing away an advantage, because then you've got to go on the medium tyres at the end and they'll have the soft tyres, which will then have better traction to get back past you, and then you've got to try and hang into their slipstream. So this was the way that obviously it was going with this current slipstream. People were just tending to go for the mediums on the first stint, get that out of the way, lighter fuel at the end for the soft tyres. They should last a little bit better. You can actually pit then lap 4 and do the 5 laps or 6 laps, sorry, on the softer tyre. So it's going to be interesting how this race pans out. You can see straight away the leaders seem to be battling a bit. Rossetti dropping back a bit on the power section. That's expected really from the Porsche and the McLaren. Although the McLaren is quite strong on the straights, it's not quite got the strength on the straights that the Lexus and the Jag have. Obviously the Lexus as well in the slipstream of the Jaguar is very, very strong with them 7 gears. But it's still a P4. Obviously the main thing of lap 1 is to not make any big errors. Keep it nice and smooth. Don't make any errors. Don't hit the walls. And just get the lap done. As you see, we're very close. We're 1 second back. But however, the good thing about this, with having Rossetti in front of us, who's not in the fastest car down the straight, McLaren obviously very strong with slipstream, short shifts it into 7th gear, and you can see that we start gaining some of that time back. So it's actually working out okay with the Porsche being in front of us. We're not actually losing too much time on lap 1. You can see in the bottom left hand corner we have the NSX driven by Will. I think he's making his return to Gran Turismo after breaking his foot and his wrist. So I think this might have been his first race back from FIA. I think he's actually driving possibly with a broken wrist on this and just using one hand. And I don't know how he's shifting gears. No idea. Maybe he can let us know in the comment section. But at the moment, everything looks okay. NSX behind us again, a car that's not particularly strong down the straight, so it's kind of a good position for me to be in. We can sit in the slipstream with P3 quite nicely, as we have a little bit of moment on the rear there, but nothing too bad, and we sit behind and we just work our way up the straight. And again, you can see the advantage up the hill. We start gaining a little bit of time back on that Porsche. However, we're going to skip ahead to a few laps later. The race was very static for the first few laps, obviously not much going on. You can see just up ahead on the end of lap 3, you can see they're battling a little bit for the lead now. This is going to start slowing them down a bit as they start battling. They wanted to obviously, I presume they wanted to be in the pits going in first for the next lap, so you really want to be in the lead so that you get the advantage on the pit entry, just in case someone makes a mistake as well. As we now go through up the hill now, and I'm guessing at this stage I kind of thought we were going to pit at this stage. Now, whether we was going to do it was 100% dependent on what the cars in front do, because the slipstream is so strong around here. You really need to follow the crowd in, because if you don't, you can lose out on about a second's worth of straight line speed. And obviously what's going to make that even worse is we're currently on the medium tyres, so if they pit a lap, say they pit a lap early and we extend our stint, we're then on warm mediums, they're on fresh softs, they're going to be a lot faster, especially with no slipstream. So the best thing to do in this position was to always follow the slipstream train. Follow what they do and stay with them to the end if possible. As you can see, the NSX right behind us. A bit of a gap from the NSX down to, I think it was Devil in the Citroen, who was fighting his way through. You might pop in on the screenshots every now and then in the distance, but we've got a comfortable gap to the cars behind. I'm not sure if the Citroen may have pitted the lap before and gone for an earlier stop. It'll be interesting. Obviously the Citroen very, very strong on tyres, so that is an option for that car. You could have possibly done it on the Mclaren as well, maybe try to get an undercut and pit lap 3. That would have been an option, but then you would have had very worn tyres towards the end. And also pitting earlier, you come out in more traffic with the way that this race was. You can see on the track map in that top right hand corner, just look at the train of cars. So if you pitted early, you come out in that traffic, so not always the best idea. However, what you'll find is that a lot of people will follow what other people do. So you're going to see, we go down the straight now, so if they're going to pit, we're going to pit, and then you'll see then a lot of other people will just pit because they want to keep hold of that slipstream. As we work our way down into the heavy braking zone, you can see how fast this McLaren is in the slipstream. It's very, very strong. This track, it starts dying a little bit in the end of 7th gear there where we get to the end of the straight, but other than that, very well geared for the track. It hits the torque points quite nicely. So we're going to go into the pits, try and be quite aggressive to get as close as we can. You can see that I think Josetti was considering going again, but he saw everyone else go in the pits. So you have to go in the pits, follow the train in and follow that slipstream. So into the pits now, you can see everyone on the medium sides, and what you're going to see is a lot of other people going into the pits now as well. Just look at all them pit icons coming up. Everyone seems to be going for the pit stop. A few cars staying out, I think just a couple of cars. We're going to put the soft tyres on now and work our way up the hill. You can see though, unfortunately, look on the right hand side now, we've got someone who's stayed at a Jaguar of all cars, possibly on the softs or mediums, I'm not sure, but he's going to have very worn tyres. We decided to bump draft Josetti here. Whether that was the right thing to do, it's debatable. I should have possibly have gone for a move, but I think with the strength of the slipstream here, even if I would have gone for a move, I'm not sure it would have worked, but there was a car on the right hand side, so it might have possibly have worked. However, look here now, Josetti goes for the move. He's going to get past that car that hasn't pitted yet. Unfortunately for me, you're going to see I get quite annoyed on the stream, which is, it's just a reaction. It's nothing against MCU in front of us. He's 100% in the right to do what he wants. Obviously, if he wants to extend this stint, but now we're stuck behind with a car that's struggling on tyres, and we're going to lose that slipstream, and that is so important on this game to try and stay in the slipstream. So I was really frustrated at this point. You obviously want to get past as soon as you physically can. You don't want to be getting held up behind the car that's got no tyre grip, and obviously he's going to hold you up. You can see the difference through the corners. Just look at the way he's having to back off in the corners, and you're really going to see it now in this braking zone. He goes a little bit too deep here. We go wide, like normal racing line, and we're going to have to pretty much stop on the corner. So a massive amount of time getting lost right now. This was quite frustrating for me. You can see showing my frustration, but again, this is just frustration during the races. Nothing that Marvel is doing wrong really, he's just racing his race, but it is frustrating when you're stuck behind with fresh tyres. He puts his indicator to go on there, but what I tried to do here was we tried to give him the bump draft to see if we could, because obviously my car probably wouldn't even get past that Jag once we pulled out the slipstream, so we gave him the bump draft to try and see if we can bump him into the slipstream of the cars in front, then go down the right hand side and see if we can get back into the slipstream. However, he decides to battle. At this point, this is maybe I think he should have just braked a little bit early and tucked in behind us, but he tried to battle it. He was going in the pits this lap anyway, so I kind of think it would have made sense for him just to back out and tuck in behind us there, but he didn't. He decides to pit this lap. So at this point, you can see the gap is over 2 seconds to Josetti, and he's got the slipstream to the Lexus and the Jag, so it's going to be pretty much impossible to get back into that slipstream range. You can see it's at about 2.3, 2.5 seconds range. So unfortunately for us, at this point of the race, not looking the best. We didn't do a best turn 1 there either. Now we've got the NSX behind us and we haven't got the slipstream. Managed to defend against the NSX quite well. You can see as we go up to lap 7 now in this race, and you can see we've actually kept pace pretty well this time on the soft tyres compared to that first race. We've actually only lost about 3 or 4 attempts to the Jaguar in about 3 laps on this set of tyres, and we've lost about 3-4 attempts to the Porsche in front of us. So the pace has been pretty solid. We've kept good pace up. We've been driving pretty well on them first 2 laps, and this is the 3rd lap obviously. So doing a nice job on these softer tyres, a much better job than what we did in the first race. We had a disaster in that race. It's a shame we couldn't have drove like this on that first race. We would have done a lot better. As the NSX behind there goes for, I don't know if he missed his braking a bit there, Will. Seemed to get very close to the rear of my car, but we got away with that. And now we're going to about start lap 8 with just 3 more laps to go in this race and try and hold on to P4 really. There's not much options for making progress towards the cars up ahead. You can see that that gap is just, it's around 2.8 to 3.5 constantly. Not really anything we can do about that because of the slipstream. It's pretty much impossible to gain time on a car that's in front of you when they're dragging along by 2 other cars. So we're just now, main aim is to try and hold on to P4. We've got Devil who's come through. I think maybe have pitted a little bit earlier than what we did. I'm not sure if he pitted lap 3, I'm not 100% sure, but he's now right behind Will and pushing on in that Citroen. So we've got a bit of a job on our hands here to hold off the NSX and the Citroen, another car, the Citroen, that in a slipstream is quite strong because of the 7 gears and the fact that it's being driven by Devil, who is very fast on Gran Turismo. So now we've got to hold off these 2 cars. The aim now really isn't to worry about the top 3. You can see the podium battle is looking like it's out of our reach. You can see the gap to the leader is 4 seconds. The gap to Rossetti is still only 3.2, so they are very close. They could start battling on the final lap. That is what we were hoping. We'd hope they'd start battling. However, we've got a situation now with the 3-car battle that I'm in that this battle could obviously also pick up, and you could get a situation where we're going to lose time as well as we see we go through this corner quite nicely there, gain a little bit of time back on Rossetti through there. However, down the straight, you can see every time we get to the straight section we're losing time because of obviously the Jaguar in P1 is obviously able to carry so much more speed down the straights. One of the fast, I think if not the fastest, one of the fastest cars in Group 3 for straight line speed. However, it will be struggling on the soft tyres towards the end, doing that many laps as we take a look at this amazing replay camera on Gran Turismo Sport. I absolutely love them views on the curbs. We should have more of them on the game. I love seeing the cars going through like that. Shows you how close this race is at the moment. We've got the NSX right behind us, and right behind that we've got the Citroen, and then just in front of us we've got another 3-car battle where it's so frustrating that we've clearly got the pace to stay with them if we were in the slipstream. As we make a mistake on the final corner, this is going to be probably quite costly. You can see the NSX has got his car up the inside. We're going to have to kind of give him space here, trying to go side by side through there. We go a little bit wide, a little nudge off the NSX, nothing too bad. We tuck back into the slipstream off Will. He's going to move over to the right hand side. Actually, he's going to stay over the right hand side to give us the slipstream, because I think he could see that Devil, he doesn't want to give Devil the opportunity of going for a move into turn 1, so into turn 2, sorry. So now we pick up that slipstream. We're going to just stay behind Will and just give him a little bump draft. Maybe should have waited there. We give him a bump draft right on the entry into the corner, but didn't want to give Devil the opportunity to go for a move from the outside. So that actually worked out quite nicely now. Even though we have lost the position, we still have a chance of getting that P4 back. We've got a couple of laps to go. We've got 2 laps to go, and there's going to be opportunities on the long straight. The NSX is not the fastest car. You can see we've lost quite a bit of time to the leaders with this battling. However, that is not the aim now. The aim is 100% to see if we can just hold on to P4. I did really want good points out of this race because the Mclaren was very strong. We threw that opportunity away in the first race. We had a chance to pick up very, very good points in race 1, but it all went downhill. It was just silly driving on the soft tyres. But this race, if we can recover a P4, the points will be okay. We really wanted 300 points at least from this round, with the Mclaren being quite strong. But the main aim really was just to try and give ourselves the S rank by the end of the season, which I think we've 100% secured that fairly easily. You only have to be in top 10 for the manufacturer, or top 200 overall or something like that, which we clearly are. So now we're going to pick up the slipstream down this long straight. You can see he's putting his hazards on there. I'm not sure if he's deciding to back off a bit. I don't know if he wants our slipstream probably for the final lap to go for a move. You can see we're going to go to the left hand side and try and see if we can go around the outside, which he looks like he's just letting us go through there. So back into the lead. I'm not sure if what Will was trying to do here was give himself the slipstream for the final lap. Probably would have made sense to have the slipstream for that final lap, because obviously if you're going to go for a move, you want it on the final lap. So Will there behind defending, not actually going for a move, more defensive move to cover off the Citroen behind, as we now work our way to the final lap now. So Will try and make a move on this final lap to see if he can get himself up to P4. This is going to be quite hard to defend. We need to make sure that we get through this turn 1 nicely, which we do okay. A little bit of contact with the curb, which gave us a little bit of a weird exit. However, we get good exit speed. We're going to give the slipstream to Will at this point. You see, staying on the side, making sure I'm on the right side for Will. We're going to give Will the return on the slipstream. He gave it to me before, and then back over to the other side once he's got ahead of Devil, made sure that he's secure from him, and then into the braking zone. You can see Will still behind us, making sure that we get. I wanted to make sure that Will got the slipstream there because obviously he helped me out with the slipstream when Devil was on our left hand side, so returning the favour there. But now will he go for that move on the back straight? Through this section, it's very difficult to go for any sort of overtake through here. You can't really go. There is a couple of areas where you can possibly go for a move if you get the car alongside. However, at this point of the track, they're too far back, so there's no real risk of getting overtaken here. As long as we keep it clean, we don't make any mistakes. Obviously, we don't want to make a mistake through this corner because then people might go for the move into this corner is a possibility, but no, we do that nice and cleanly. Now onto the downhill section, where you're just trying to make sure you keep the car nice and steady. And you can see up ahead there's obviously been fighting going on because Snake has lost the lead in this race. So even with the fighting that we've done, we're still only 4 seconds behind P3, so it really shows you that the pace was there on these soft tyres with the Mclaren. It's just a shame that we lost that slipstream with that unfortunate pit exit on the outlap when we just got held up behind the car with the more worn tyres. So not his fault though, that was 100% just a racing thing. Things like that happen in racing. Sometimes you get the luck, sometimes you don't. In this race we haven't got the luck, but now we need to try and defend from Will behind. You can see he's getting the slipstream into the slipstream range. We're nearly into the slipstream range of Snake up ahead. You can see he's going to try and brake late. He doesn't manage to go. I'm not sure if he's trying to go for a move there or not, or whether he was just trying to stay in our slipstream. But now into the final corner, you can see we've actually got in the slipstream range of the Jaguar in front, so that's actually going to help me out on acceleration. You can see he's going to defend that line to make sure that Devil doesn't go for a move up the inside. And through the final corner, we're going to come away with a P4, which is not the worst position, but it's not the position that we wanted from this race. We obviously wanted to get at least 300 points, but really we were looking, after the pole position in the first race of the day, we really wanted to get like 330 points, something like that. However, I decided that with the fact that it doesn't really matter as long as you're going to get your S license, P4, it's 299 points, which is just under 300 points. Decided not to risk that and just take them points and put them in the bag. So we come away with an okay round. Not particularly happy with it, but it's better than coming away with nothing if you get a really bad race at the end of the day, obviously. So hope you enjoyed that race. It was a fun race. We had some battling in there, a lot of defensive driving, trying to stay in the slipstream at the moment on GT. I think they do need to work on that. The strength of the slipstream, it does seem a little bit too strong in my view, but hopefully, you know, things might get changed in an update to come. So hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.